That's a no for me, dog.
No.
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 All right, because everybody, this is the brainchild of Mr. Anthony Rocco right there, and
let's just stress that. I know we call the segment "Who Says No," but it actually could be a case where the answer is no one says no, and it's a yes.
Yes, well, we do have that as an option. Because, by the way, speaking about plugging lots of things, I went to Hockey Heaven yesterday because I went to Pure Hockey because I had to pick up some stuff. I ended up spending $250. Need some hockey equipment? Check the link in the description below. And I'm going to be making something up for that soon. So welcome to Big Apple Hockey's Who Says No, where we decide who declines these mock trades. Play along in the comment below. So we're going to start with one that was suggested yesterday in our group chat and one that was said by one of our panelists today. To the St. Louis Blues, Vitaly Kravtsov, a second-round pick and a fourth-round pick for Ivan Barbashev and 50% retained. Mr. LaRocco, I turn to you first.
I actually think this is pretty fair. I mean, I did see that the Blues are, asking on Barbashev. They could get a first, but overall, you get a former first-round pick, a second, a fourth, for a guy who's going to be UFA, so 50% retained isn't really a big deal for him. So I actually might say, let's make a deal here. I guess it really depends. If there's a team that offers up a first, then maybe they say no. But overall, I do like the framework of it.
So if you haven't caught that, what Anthony is saying about this trade,
To be fair.
Phil,
I think this goes through.
That's good.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. So perfect. Love it. But I think this goes through. I think this is what it's going to look like to get someone like Barbashev. I don't know if anyone's going to necessarily offer a first-round pick for him. Markets are usually very volatile, and everything's always a fluid situation, so that could change. I mean, we've seen someone like Paul Gostad return a first-round pick.
And that was insane.
When I saw that,
provided that was one, it was a bad trade, and two, there were other pieces involved to make that happen. But never say never. I just don't think that it's going to be a first-round pick for Barbashev. I think it's going to be a second, a good prospect, and maybe an additional lower-level prospect, or a lower pick like a fourth. And I think St. Louis will have no problem retaining 50% to make it work to help out a team like the Rangers in this instance, or whatever team ends up trading for him.
I'm actually going to say this deal might go through. So there's no problem with this trade. Maybe the second-round pick, maybe that's what makes Chris Drury balk. But you know what? The Rangers
got to go for it.
Like they're going for it right now.
You got to
go for it. If you're pushing your chips all in, bang. Who cares about the second-round pick? Because there's still you still got Brendan Ottman coming up in the wings, and most of your defensemen are still pretty young. So you got to do it now. Let's shift over to the other New York team, the New York Islanders, because we have this one. Jacob Vrana and Tyler Bertuzzi, and to Detroit goes the 2024 first-round pick, Samuel Bolduc, Simon Holmstrom, and Josh Bailey. Phil, who says no?
I think the Islanders actually might say no to this. I think the Islanders are giving up a lot in this. You're giving up two of their top three prospects at this point, because you got to say the consensus top three prospects amongst the Islanders are William Dufour, Samuel Bolduc, and Simon Holmstrom at this point. And now that Ratu's gone. Bailey is a nothing burger to me. Vrana, we don't know what's going to happen with Vrana. I mean, he's been out for, his own personal issues. Obviously, we hope he's doing well fighting those, and we hope that he gets better. But Tyler Bertuzzi for a first and a prospect, I think would be fair. I think that might even be a little much just because he's been hurt this year and he hasn't had a great year. So I could see a second and maybe one or two of those prospects and maybe another prospect or Josh Bailey to make it work. I just think the Islanders end up saying no because this is a lot, even though I know that Vrana could end up coming back and it could be a wild card. So I know why they gave up a bit, but I think the Islanders just might not want to give up their entire prospect cupboard to make a deal for a guy who I don't think they're going to be able to resign Tyler Bertuzzi. Verona, I believe, is under contract long term.
No, one more year.
One more year.
One more year.
Yeah.
So that might complicate things for the Islanders cap situation. But Tyler Bertuzzi is definitely going to be a rental for them. I just think that this deal is a little too big for the Islanders, and I don't think they want to give up two of their top three prospects.
Anthony, who do you think?
So this deal boils down to you got Vrana, who the Red Wings want to get rid of, and Bailey, who the Islanders want to get rid of. Boils down to a first, Bolduc, and Holmstrom for Tyler Bertuzzi, which I think the Islanders. I know adding guys like Vrana and Bertuzzi into their lineup right now, they're two, legitimate top six forwards. I mean, that would help them immensely, but going forward, long term, I don't know if it's the best thing to do, being that Samuel Bolduc looks like he might be a pretty good defenseman. Holmstrom, it looks like he's kind of finding a niche in that third line checker role that, he's been pretty useful. But I think the Islanders say no. I think as much as it would help them this year and possibly with adding those two guys probably propels them past Pittsburgh and Washington. But I don't think going forward it's the best deal. So I'm going to say Islanders say no.
I'm going to look at the one thing that is going to make Lou say hell no, and it's the first round pick, the first overall pick, or whatever, first round pick. Lou already traded one, and he's going to do it for a bigger deal with more security. He's going to lose Tyler Bertuzzi. He's got one more year with Verona. Samuel Bolduc, like I said before, and both you guys said it, he's too valuable to just move with a first round pick for a guy basically for one more year and an expiring free agent. So, although I do have to say, Tyler Bertuzzi, man, he would kind of fit on the Islanders.
Yeah, he would
very well.
That would be a deal that I would not want to see make, because the Islanders, I think, could. Although I think they need more defensive help, that would really, really set them up for a deep run, I think.
Well, here's one going to the Pacific Division, to LA, Jacob Chikrin, and to Arizona, a first-round pick of this year, a second-round pick next year, Alex Turcotte and Sean Dursey, I mean. I say yes, accept the deal. Everybody says yes. Let's just get this over with. I'm too tired of it. And after that, trade Vitaly.
Gee, I wonder. Mark saying he accepts the deal because he doesn't want to hear about Jacob Chikrin anymore.
Because I don't want to hear about Jacob Chikrin. However, I do have to say LA says no on this one. I don't think they want to part with Sean Dursey, but there's another name you're talking about that they don't want to part with, Felk.
I don't think that they want to part with someone like Brant Clark or Quentin Byfield. I don't think they're going to give up on Byfield yet. I imagine that the talks probably stalled because they wanted one of those two in addition to Clark, and then probably a first-round pick, and that's where this deal probably ended up falling apart. So Turcotte, I'm not going to say that he's looking like a bust, but his development has not gone the way that LA has wanted it to go. And this was a guy that was drafted in 2019. He was a top 10 pick in that draft. And we all thought he was going to be a real good two-way center in the mold of somebody like Jonathan Toews at the NHL level. Someone like that was the type of player that they were going to get. He just hasn't been that yet. And his AHL numbers really haven't shown any type of glance of him being that type of player at the NHL level at any point. So I think if there was a name that wasn't Sean Dursey, I think LA would do it. So I'm gonna say LA probably says no. I think Arizona probably also says no because they're gonna get greedy and they're gonna ask for more because Chikrin's under contract, and that's been their sticking point throughout this whole saga. Is we've got this guy under contract and he's affordable, cap wise and salary wise. We don't have to move this guy, and we're not going to do so until we get the deal that we want. And can I blame them? No, I don't. But I just don't see teams giving up a king's ransom for a player that's had one really good year, and that's why these discussions continue to fall apart time after time.
And also, people need to be reminded, Jacob Chikrin skates on frozen water, not walks on water. So, Anthony, who says no?
I think I think Arizona at this point realizes they're not going to get Brant Clark, Byfield, Velarde. Turcotte, while could be trending to a bust, I think still could be enough of a prospect that, along with a first and second, would have them find this to be acceptable. I included Sean Durzi in there because it's been rumored that, from what Elliot Friedman said, looks like there's another player that could have stole the deal that's supposed to contract-wise. It needs to go back to Arizona. I think LA is going to have to send Arizona a defenseman. I mean, whether it be Durzi or Sean Walker or somebody, they got to send somebody back there.
So I think that might be even a forward, though. I think from the context that I get from those words is that it's somebody that's got a bigger contract to make things work. And I think Arizona didn't want to take back that contract, and that might be, I could be wrong, but that's what it sounds like.
Looking at the roster, they don't really have many. I mean, Trevor Moore has 6 years at 4 points. Other than that, they don't really have.
What
many
about Victor
guys.
Arvidsson?
Yeah, well, he's got 1 year left after this, so that's.
I mean but that's the thing. It seems like they wanted to make the contract, like the cap work, and that's why I was looking at Arvidsson when I first heard that.
Well, I mean, hopefully, again, this is the end of the Jacob Chychrun saga, because I have never heard of somebody that's been on the block longer than he has. So, but let's move over to a guy that I'm actually surprised he's on the block. I got to say this, guys, because I still can't believe this. Here's one. To Vegas, Thatcher Demko. To Vancouver, a first-round pick, Laurent Brossoit, and Daniil Miramanov. Do I pronounce that right?
Yeah, Miramanov.
Right. Okay. Anthony, who do you think says no on this one?
Well, Vegas desperately needs a goalie. Logan Thompson's out. So they probably say yes because they trade first like candy. Laurent Brossoit is just a goalie going the other way to Vancouver because they would need someone too. And Miramanov is, he's okay, but so I think Vegas says yes easily. Vancouver, from their perspective, they get a late first. I don't know. I think Vancouver says no, but I do think Thatcher Demko going in a deal is possible. I just think they might ask for a little bit more.
Yeah, I think if you switched Daniil Miramanov to Pavel Dorofeyev, I think that deal gets done because I think Vancouver would want Dorofeyev.
I'm gonna go with probably saying Vancouver would say no on this one. I just looked this up though. He's signed at $5 million to 2026, and if Thatcher Demko was still on that trajectory of becoming a starting goalie in this league, NHL Network had him in the top 10 goalies in the league last year, and obviously Robin Leonard with his troubles. Why not go get him? Go get him, Vegas. Here's a guy that also Vancouver is looking at. By the way, everybody's looking to be traded out of Vancouver right now. If they're not trying to be traded, Vancouver's looking to trade them. Brock Besser at 25% retained, going to the Jersey Devils and going over to Vancouver, a second-round pick, and Fabian Zetterlund. Philk, who says no?
You know what? I think this is a deal that could actually work for both teams. I think New Jersey wouldn't go after Besser just because I think that they're so hung up on Meyer, but I think Besser would be a fallback option for them. Yeah, Zetterlund, they're somewhat high on, but I don't see them being high enough to not move him for a scoring upgrade. Mm. So it's just a matter of how high they're on Besser if they miss on Meyer, to me. So I think this deal could go through, though. The retention might have to drop a little bit from 25%, though, because he's got some years left on his deal, Besser.
Anthony.
Yeah, I think this is a good. I think this deal would go through. I think Vancouver understands, due to Besser's salary and performance too, that they're not going to get a first for him. They're not going to get top prospects. So a second-round pick and, a young roster player who has a little bit of upside, I think they would recognize as a fair deal. They're tearing it down. So, and for New Jersey's, if they miss on Meyer, they still get a guy that does have, capabilities, just underperforming. And they still don't really give up anything that's going to hurt them really going forward. So, I think this would be a good deal.
$6.65 million all the way to 2025. 25% retained would knock him down to about maybe 5 or just a little bit under 5. I like this deal if you're New Jersey, because then you have a bona fide shooter for their power play, and you know what, a second round pick. Maybe Vancouver tries to get a little greedy, but I think this deal could go through too, guys. That's about it. And
I don't think they can ask for Holtz for Besser at this point.
No.
Yeah, that's one of those guys that New Jersey is high on too. That's why I'm a little bit shocked. He was putting up great numbers for a little bit, and then now they might get away from him. We got a couple deals featuring Mr. Timo Meier. So we're going to start with to the Buffalo Sabres. 2023 first, Peyton Krebs and Jack Quinn for Timo Meier. Anthony, who says no?
I think this is the type of package that's going to require to take Timo Meier. But I'm going to say Buffalo says no, only because I don't think anyone expected them to be as competitive as they were this year. I think they're playing with a little bit of house money, so to speak. I think they should be patient, continue doing what they're doing. Maybe in the offseason you try to sign the hometown boy, Patrick Kane, or make moves elsewhere. So I say they say no, be patient, but I do think it's fair value. I think Meier is going to return something along these lines.
I'm going to jump in right now and agree with you on that 100%. Don't go after Timo Meier right now. You could try to get him at the draft. Maybe the price comes down a little bit. This is a package that would be what San Jose is asking for right now. But no, I mean, Jack Quinn could always develop into something, and Krebs hasn't been bad for them. So let's see what happens in the offseason. Phil.
Those are going to be two cornerstone players for them. Buffalo is not doing this deal. And you guys are absolutely right. This is the type of deal that's going to take to get him, but it's definitely not happening with Buffalo. Buffalo is going to stay the course. They're going to go and get a minor addition and see if they can try to make the playoffs. Because if I'm the general manager, if I'm Kevin Adams, what I want to do is I don't want to stand pat and tell these guys that I don't believe in them. Mm-hmm. What I want to do is I want to go make a move that says, hey, I support you guys. I think we're close. I think we're getting there. And I think we're capable of making a move. But I don't want to go give up my farm for a guy like Meier, who would help, but would also kill depth in the future. And not only that, but you're going to add a guy that's going to command somewhere around 8-9 million, somewhere in that range going forward, probably, if you want to just push the qualifying offer figure aside. That's going to complicate their cap situation going forward. And Buffalo did a great job with getting Thompson and Cousins and Dahlin under lock. That's all great to do what they did, but now you got to worry about getting guys like Krebs and Quinn and their other defenders and their other up and coming players like JJ Peterka's looked really good for them as well. So now you got to worry about that. And to me, I don't see Buffalo doing this. It just doesn't make sense for their timeline and their trajectory.
And we got one more Timo Meier one and one more trade with another guy that's going. And we're going to get to some of your recommendations that you're putting in the comments. We'll go with that rapid fire. But how about this one, Phil? To Carolina, Timo Meier. To Vancouver.
What?
Whoa. All right, we're going to fix that one. Actually, in this one, I blame Anthony. Because I copied and pasted on these.
Oh, man.
So, all right. Well, Timo Meier going to the Carolina Hurricanes for a 2023 first.
Anthony Lynn.
A 2023 first, a 2023 second, Seth Jarvis and Jack Drury. Anthony, who says no?
I'm surprised he didn't call him Chris Drury. Oh my God.
Well, I mean,
Seth, it is your Jarvis fault, by the way.
Looks like a. I like Seth Jarvis. Don't really like Jack Drury. I don't really think he's going to be of anything of real substance here. So first, second, Seth Jarvis is a good young roster player. I think San Jose. I think San Jose might say no here, to be honest, but it's close.
Philk?
I think Carolina says no. I don't think they want to give up Seth Jarvis. I think they like what he's done. I think he fits in with the team. He's the type of player they want. I get Meyer is the sexier player right now because he's big, he's strong, he's developed, he's a scorer. But I also think you kind of, when you start moving out young guys like Jarvis for a guy like Meyer, who's already like well within his prime years, you start changing your timeline around. And I don't think Carolina really wants to do that. I think they have a better prospect pool than people give them credit for. And although some of their picks may have not gotten to the point where you think they would have been at, especially after they killed that 2019 draft the way that they did. I just don't see them giving up on Jarvis. I think this makes no sense. And to give up that much more on top of Jarvis to get Meyer, I think that's probably more than likely a big no from Carolina at this point. So I'm going to say no from Carolina's end.
This is my answer. The Hurricanes say no because they don't want to give up Seth Jarvis. The Sharks say no because they don't want a first-round pick that's going to be number 30. But the Vancouver Canucks clearly say yes because they're getting all this stuff and they had nothing to do with it. They're like, wait a minute, we're getting the first, a second, Seth Jarvis.
Well, how high is Vancouver on Justin Huberdeau? How high are they on Anthony Lynn, Mark?
They're very high on Anthony Lynn because even Anthony Lynn had more of a career than Jeremy Lin. So anyway, so going over to this one, the last one we got for us guys, we're gonna get to yours in a second. To Boston, Vladislav Gavrikov, and to Carolina, a first-round pick and John Beecher. Phil, who says no?
To Carolina, to Columbus, Mark.
Oh, I said, oh. Well, at least I had the right thing on the screen. Man, if you're listening to the audio podcast, you guys are missing out. We are really having a good time with this one.
This is an all-time, like, this should be our blooper reel right here. It's incredible. Oh my God. I'm gonna say probably I think Columbus says no, just because yes, they like the first, but John Beecher's his development has just not been there. He was a high pick in 2019. I thought he was going to be a good player, something along the lines of maybe like a Chris Kreider type, where he was going to be a big physical, speedster that had some skill, but he hasn't panned out the way that you would thought. And to me, I don't know how much value he has. So I like the idea of a first because I think it's going to probably end up taking a first for Gavrikov because he's probably, if it's not for Chychrun, he's the best defenseman on the market at this point. Yes. And I think he's the most realistically obtainable. So I think there is going to be a major bidding war for his services. So I do think it's going to start with a first, and then I think it's going to be another prospect from there. But I think it's going to have to be something better than Beecher at this point, who maybe it's just me, but I'm not high on him anymore. He hasn't developed the way that he should have at this point. I thought he would be an NHLer by now, and it's looking more like he's trending the other way.
I'll step in on this one real quick. Yeah, absolutely. Columbus says no. That's it on that. Anthony.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I know they're going to get a first for Gavrikov, but they're also realistic. And they're not going to get like Gavrikov for like a first in Lysell, like a top prospect like that. I think
no, Lysell's not going anywhere.
Yeah, so
not in that deal.
Beecher still is a former first-round pick. Gavrikov's a UFA to be. I think they take the assets and they go with it. I mean, sure, could they get a better?
You may be right.
Could they get a better prospect with Beecher elsewhere? Possibly, but I think this is a deal that they would take for Gavrikov.
All right. Let's go check out some of yours. Phil, you got all these starred, right?
I saw you starring some, so I went and I starred more. All right, so we'll start with MYR for life. 2 New York Rangers, Noel Chari, the St. Louis 3rd-round pick. I think both teams probably say yes to this.
I agree with you. I'm going to say they say yes, and that's a guy that definitely they would target. He's done real good work on the fourth line.
Like and subscribe to our channel. We have a lot of great hockey content and an entertaining interactive podcast. So check us out and our library of videos.
Your ideas are intriguing to me, and I wish to subscribe to your newsletter.